Are you proud of our nation? Do you think we can help to unify it and bring it back together? Do you think we can put our people back to work? So do I. My name is Jimmy Carter and I'm running for president.
Jimmy Carter Biography. Hello, and welcome to our channel. Today, we'll be diving deep into the life and legacy of one of America's most respected former presidents, Jimmy Carter. From his humble beginnings to his presidency and impactful life after politics, we will explore his extraordinary journey, including his early years, education, naval career, political career, presidential achievements, post-presidency work, and much more. Whether you're a history enthusiast or simply curious about this remarkable man, you're in for a treat. But before we dive in, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support our channel so we can keep bringing you more fascinating stories. Let's get started. James Earl Carter Jr., better known as Jimmy Carter, was born on October 1, 1924, in Plains, Georgia, a small rural town in the southern United States. He was the first of 4 children born to James Earl Carter Sr., a successful farmer, and Lillian Gordy Carter, a registered nurse. The Carter family was well known in the local community, but their life was marked by a modest lifestyle grounded in hard work, strong Christian values, and a commitment to public service. Early life and education. Jimmy Carter's upbringing in the small town of Plains had a profound impact on him, shaping his character and worldview. He grew up during the Great Depression, and his family's farm was hit hard by the economic downturn. Despite these challenges, Carter excelled academically, showing early promise as a bright and diligent student. After attending local public schools, Carter went on to study at the Georgia Southwestern College in Americus, before transferring to the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland, in 1943, where he graduated in 1946. His time at the Naval Academy was formative, not just in terms of academics and military training, but also in fostering the discipline, leadership skills, and ethics that would define his future. Naval career. After graduating from Annapolis, Carter entered the U.S. Navy and embarked on a career that would span nearly 8 years. He served as a submariner, stationed aboard various submarines, and became known for his exceptional work ethic and dedication. His time in the Navy was both professionally and personally significant. He worked alongside Admiral Hyman Rickover, a man who would greatly influence his views on government and energy. In 1953, Carter's naval career took a major turn when he was tasked with working on the development of the world's first nuclear-powered submarines, gaining experience that would later influence his decisions as president on energy policy. Farming and return to Georgia. After his father's death in 1953, Carter left the Navy and returned to his family's farm in Plains. This marked the beginning of a new chapter in his life. Carter and his wife, Rosalind, whom he married in 1946, worked together to transform the family farm into a modern, efficient operation. Over the years, Carter's strong ties to his agricultural roots would remain central to his identity. His time as a farmer allowed him to understand the struggles of rural America, shaping his views on environmental issues, poverty, and the need for economic reform. It was during these years that he began to get more involved in local political affairs. Early political career, 1963 to 1971. In the early 1960s, Jimmy Carter began his political career by running for a position on the local Board of Education in Georgia. His political ambition continued to grow, and in 1962, he launched a campaign for Georgia State Senator. His state Senate campaign was a turning point. Carter used his humble background and focus on honesty, integrity, and reform to appeal to voters. He was elected to the Georgia State Senate in 1963, serving until 1967. During his time in the Senate, he advocated for improved education, better infrastructure, and civil rights, though his views would evolve on race during his later career. Georgia State Senator, 1963 to 1967. From 1963 to 1967, Carter served as a state senator, where he quickly became known for his work on education and prison reform. He opposed Georgia's segregationist policies and pushed for racial integration, though this stance often conflicted with his more conservative voters. His time in the state legislature laid the foundation for his later gubernatorial campaign. His moderate stances on issues like education reform and his outspoken support for integration helped him gain a reputation as a man of principles. 1966 and 1970 gubernatorial campaigns. In 1966, Carter ran for governor but was narrowly defeated. However, he came back stronger in 1970. This time, he had a clear platform focused on the need for change in Georgia. His campaign slogan, "Let's Get Georgia Right," emphasized the need for reform, transparency, and tackling the state's racial divisions. His second run was a success, and he became governor of Georgia in 1971. His political strategy was one of unity, calling for an end to segregationist policies and promoting moderate policies that addressed the needs of all Georgians. Georgia governorship, 1971 to 1975. Jimmy Carter served as Georgia's governor from 1971 to 1975. During this period, he enacted several key reforms. He streamlined the state government, focused on improving the state's education system, and worked to modernize Georgia's economy. He also prioritized the protection of the environment and promoted energy conservation at a time when the energy crisis was beginning to affect the nation. His administration was noted for its efficiency and progressive reforms, including his strong stance on racial integration. 1976 presidential campaign. After completing his term as governor, Carter turned his sights on the White House. In 1976, he launched a successful campaign for president, focusing on his outsider status, his commitment to honesty, and his desire to restore trust in the American government after the Watergate scandal. His campaign was unique, as it positioned him as a candidate who would work across party lines to bring about real change. He emerged from a crowded field of Democratic contenders to win the nomination. In the general election, Carter faced the incumbent Gerald Ford, and despite Ford's efforts to distance himself from the Watergate scandal, Carter's message of hope and integrity resonated with voters. Carter won the election by a narrow margin, and on January 20, 1977, he was sworn in as the 39th President of the United States. Presidency, 1977 to 1981. As President, Carter faced significant challenges both at home and abroad. Domestically, his presidency was marked by efforts to tackle inflation, unemployment, and the energy crisis. He created the Department of Energy, promoted energy conservation, and worked to reduce America's dependence on foreign oil. However, his presidency was also marked by difficulties with Congress. Despite his calls for deregulation and reform, relations with lawmakers were often tense. His policies on inflation and taxation were met with resistance, and his attempts to implement healthcare reforms were unsuccessful. Foreign policy. On the global stage, Carter's foreign policy was centered on human rights, diplomacy, and peace. His greatest achievement was the Camp David Accords in 1978, where he brokered a peace agreement between Egypt and Israel, a moment that earned him the Nobel Peace Prize. While Carter's foreign policy successes included this monumental achievement and the signing of the SALT II agreement with the Soviet Union, his presidency was also marked by the Iran hostage crisis, which severely damaged his political standing. Life after retiring from politics. After leaving the White House in 1981, Carter remained incredibly active. He founded the Carter Center in 1982, an organization dedicated to promoting human rights, democracy, and health initiatives around the world. His post-presidency years have been widely regarded as one of the most impactful in history. Carter has worked tirelessly on international peace missions, humanitarian causes, and election monitoring. Personal life, wife, kids, family, health, and legacy. Jimmy Carter's personal life has always been closely intertwined with his work. He married Rosalind Carter in 1946, and together they have 4 children: Jack, James III, Donnell, and Amy. Throughout their marriage, Rosalind has been a steadfast partner in his political and humanitarian endeavors. Despite some health challenges later in life, including a cancer diagnosis in 2015, Carter has remained remarkably active even at the age of 99. Death and cause of death. Carter died at his home in Plains, Georgia, on December 29, 2024, at the age of 100. His son, James E. Carter III, announced his death that afternoon. This followed his February 2023 decision to enter hospice care. Shortly after the announcement, President Joe Biden released a statement honoring Carter's legacy, calling him a man of principle, faith, and humility. The Biden administration also announced plans to hold an official state funeral and a day of mourning for him on January 9, 2025. His legacy, particularly his work with the Carter Center, his advocacy for human rights, and his enduring commitment to peace, continues to inspire millions worldwide. In conclusion, as we've seen today, Jimmy Carter's life is one of service, sacrifice, and remarkable achievement. From his time as a governor and president to his post-presidential humanitarian efforts, his legacy has left a lasting impact on the world. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the life of a truly remarkable individual. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, please like, share, comment, and support us by subscribing to our channel for more fascinating stories from history.